Excellent. So let me specially welcome you all to Wealth Unleashed webinar, our weekend dose on our journey to financial freedom. For those of you who already know me and those who may not know me, my assignments, my calling is to damage poverty. I'm very passionate about seeing people create wealth and also retain it for generations above if Jesus tarries. And we've been touching on quite a bit over the past few weeks. And so we just want to take a step further in that journey. We did mention and talk about the need to, we started talking about personal transformation as one of the first phase in that journey to creating wealth, in that journey to financial freedom. We made a step further by establishing that making money is now extremely important. So the second phase is income generation, planning and application. And of course, the third phase is asset accumulation, optimization and retention, right? So we're not there yet. But we've moved on to the second phase and we've been looking at sales and the entire sales process and what have you. So what we want to talk about today is on how to achieve your sales targets, right? You can redefine it and say how to achieve your financial targets, okay? How to achieve your sales targets. One of the key reasons why we did establish that making money is critical is because if you're not making money, you can't manage or multiply money you have not yet made. So making money is a critical ingredient in managing and multiplying money. The other reason why making money is so essential is because if you're not making money, there are three realities that will confront you. Number one, you start begging for money, which is totally dishonorable. Number two, you start borrowing money. Once you run out of people to beg from, you start borrowing money. Number three is that once you run out of people to borrow from, right, then you start compromising, you start cutting corners, you start stealing. Now, while the first two options and possibilities are dishonorable, this third one is not only dishonorable, but can also land you in jail, all right? And there are loads of people who find themselves here. And that's why the subject that we're examining is so crucial for life and living, all right? Your ability to sell is what will put you and ensure that there's food on your table consistently, as long as you have your breath, all right? And so it's so important we look at this particular subject. So how do you achieve your sales targets, right? We've looked at different concepts, different principles. So we want to look at how to achieve your sales target. Number one, I'm just going to give you 4 simple steps I've used again and again, and it has helped me significantly. And I hope you will draw value from this. Number one is, how much money do you really want to make? How much money do you want to make? Now, this is a question of income. It's a question of income. How much money do you really want to make? Now, over the years, particularly when I'm coaching any of my clients who is in business or some of my sales team or colleagues at work, and I ask them, how much money do you really want to make? I hear all sorts of figures. For the most part, some of the figures I hear sound very ambitious, but also unattainable. Why? Because for the most part, those income targets are not tied to any consequence. Several years ago, I went for a master class. I think it was the first day in January that particular year, either first or second day, but it was early that year. And I recall the facilitator asking the question that how many of us achieved our targets the previous year, achieved our goals the previous year. It was a goal scoring masterclass. Now, even though the facilitator happened to be my very good friend, so he asked that question. And I recall that majority of us, not many of us, actually achieved our targets. In fact, almost the whole class did not achieve their financial targets. And then he randomly picked up someone who should be in her mid-40s at that time, and asked why she did not achieve her target. And the response the lady gave is similar to why a number of us will never, no matter how ambitious, no matter how laudable, how lofty our financial targets may appear, we will not achieve them. And what was the key question the facilitator asked? The facilitator asked that, okay, why didn't you achieve your target? I said, well, I did my best, which is usually what you hear from most people. I did my best. I gave it my all. There's nothing more I could have done that I did not do, and all of that. And then the facilitator went on to ask the woman and said, okay, so are you married? And the woman said, yes. And said, okay, does your husband provide for your needs? Say, before we go, you know what I mean. What is his responsibility if not to take care of me? Okay. And then he said, okay, so do you have children? Does your husband pay school fees? Said, okay, so what was your financial target for this business? Said, at that time it was 5 billion naira, that our target was. And then the facilitator asked that if you did not achieve the target, now I know why you are not achieving the target. And the reason is not far-fetched. The reason is that she had alternative. If she did not meet the target, there was a support in place, courtesy her husband. So there was no impetus. There was nothing pushing him or drawing him towards the achievement or attainment of our goal. And so essentially, I've ever since known and understood that any goal you set, right? It could be any other goals, may not just be financial goals. Whatever goal you set that has no consequence, right, is not going to come to fruition. And take my word for it. So it doesn't matter whether it is a spiritual goal or it is an academic goal or a business goal or financial goal, whatever goal it is. Once there are no consequences for actions or inactions, that goal will never materialize. And so I learned the biggest lesson of my life then, and ever since that become one of the things I integrate into whatever program or whatever strategy that we set in motion, both for me as a person, as a family man, and also in business and in ministry. All right. So I created this 2 framework. When you want to set your income target, there are 2 important questions that you want to ask yourself. And those 2 questions or those 2 key elements is what will help you to clearly define what your income target is. Because if you do not run your income target in the light of the 2 things I'm going to say, most likely you'll be setting a faulty target and it will lack consequences. So to set your income targets and to ensure that your income targets or income goals, financial goals, are compelling enough, it steers you up, right? Number 1 is list out all your obligations. List out all your obligations in monetary terms. List out all your obligations. Number 2, list out all your aspirations in monetary terms. So what are obligations? Your obligations are bills that whether you make money or not, you have to fulfill. For example, you have rent if you are still a tenant. You have children's school fees, if you need to pay school fees, or if you have children, that you cater for, and a host of other things. And then if you also have debts that you need to service or you need to pay off, right, it's all part of your obligations. All right. And so what do we see? List them out. Now, your obligations represent the things that will go wrong if you don't accomplish them, if you don't achieve them. So what are the things that could go wrong? Number 1, your children could be sent away from school on account of not being able to pay their school fees. And that can be very embarrassing. So because that is what will go wrong, it pushes you to commit. And then it will also inform why you set your target in that particular manner in the first place. This is so important. Now, all of this is psychological, right? So not just say, I want to make 50 million, I want to make $100,000 or 100,000 pounds. So is it tied to an obligation? Is there something that can collapse or fail, if you don't achieve this? All right. There are some of us, we don't have a choice but to commit to our dreams, commit because of many things that are tied to us, because of the many things that depend on us, right? I don't need any motivation from anybody before I can commit whatever it is I need to commit to. Why? There are many things that are tied to me. Some of us cannot afford to even fall sick, let alone die. We can't even afford it because too many things are connected to us. I recall years ago during a leadership conference, many years ago, during the dispensation of Mr. Governor Rajiv Fashola, and then he spoke at this particular conference, and he talked about during the period when the current president of Nigeria was in exile, and they had to be responsible. He was running the chamber at the time, and he had to be responsible for, filing and keeping things for, his asset, managing all his assets and everything while he was in exile. And how that they worked so hard those days that they couldn't afford to fall sick. They couldn't afford to fall ill, largely because of many things that are dependent on them. All right. Just a second, please. All right, so he shared how that they worked so hard and at that time they couldn't just afford to fall ill. Otherwise, many things will go wrong. So it's important that whenever you are setting a goal, always ask yourself what will go wrong, and what will go wrong represents your obligations. List them out in monetary terms. Number two are your aspirations, and these are the things that can go right. They speak more to your pleasure, while the things that can go wrong speak more to your pain, or speak more to punishment or penalty, and all of that. The what will go right speak more to your pleasure and speak more to your aspirations, right? The things that will move the needle in your favor, the things that will move you forward in your adventure in life. All right, so you need to list them out. So would you be able to, by setting these financial targets, would it enable you, to give your family a better life? Would you be able to get a second car? Would you be able to get a second citizenship? Would you be able to get maybe a PhD or a second PhD? Would it enable you to be able to set your spouse up better and support her dream or his dream? So when you are setting those goals, look at it in that perspective, right? What are the things that will go wrong? What are the things that will go right? Things that will go wrong represents your punishment, represents the pain, represents your obligations. All right. And then number two, what are the things that will go right? And those things represent your aspirations and represents your pleasure. All right. As human beings, we are motivated by two things. Number one, we are motivated by pain or motivated by pleasure. We are either running away from something or running towards something. That's why this particular template is what I use in sharing and explaining to people when you are setting your financial target and whatever target it may be. But since we're talking specifically around financial targets, always examine it in the light of what will go wrong and what will go right. Now, this is so important. This is so important. So once you are clear on your obligations in monetary terms and what your aspirations are in monetary terms, sum it all up. That gives you a sense of what your actual financial target or income target really is. Once that is clear, the next step would be how much sale will fetch you that income. Now, every now and again, every time I think about how much money I need to make or whatever obligations are on ground or whatever aspirations I have, I always look at things in the light of what am I going to give in exchange for the money I hope to generate. All right. So it awakens my consciousness to the opportunities around me. All right. So I begin to think of what are the things I can leverage, to fulfill those obligations or achieve my aspirations. So what are you going to give in exchange? So in essence, what are you going to sell, right, that will produce result or add value to people's lives that will give you money back in exchange? So whenever we talk about the concept of sales, that's essentially what it is. And that's why, I mean, for most people who are trained in sales from way back, 18, 19 years ago, most of the things I teach, I always tell people, don't position yourself as a marketer. You're not a marketer, you are a consultant. Marketers are perceived as people who want to come and collect people's money. Consultants are seen as people who want to solve problems. That's why you don't hide your problems from your doctor. You don't hide your problems from your nurse, all right? So when you go before your nurse, the actual way to really respond or to really sell is to query. The best salespeople are conversationalists. They develop questionnaires, all right? They just want to understand the actual point, actual pain points of the person that they want to administer their product or service. Now listen to this carefully. People really don't buy your product. They buy the value it adds to their life. They buy the problems it solves for them, all right? So it is your product is simply a conveyor of solutions, of value, you know, and all of that. So essentially, when we talk about how much sale will fetch you that income, look at it also from value, all right? Look at it from solutions you are providing, all right? So what am I going to create? What offer am I going to put out there that will add value to the person that is going to buy it, and also bring back money as a reward? Because ultimately, money is a reward for solving problems. So every time you think of money you need to make, think of problems you need to solve. Every time you think of money you need to make, also think of value you need to provide, all right? If you are not providing enough, if you are not making enough money, it's often a signal that you are not solving enough problem or you are not adding enough value, all right? So this is so important, so important. So assuming, now for ease of calculation, assuming that the income you really want to make is 10 million naira, or say $10,000 or $100,000. Now let's just use 10 million or $100,000. Why? Because if you earn $10,000 a whole year, I'm not sure, especially if you live abroad, I'm not sure $10,000 can cover your bills. I'm not sure. And in fact, it's not that I'm not sure. I'm convinced you can't cover it, especially if you're even married. If you're married, $10,000 can't cover your bills for a whole year. So let's use 100,000, all right? And even 10 million naira now may not really be able to provide, depending on your lifestyle and the size of your household and the host of other things, and the many other obligations you may currently have, all right? So, but by and large, let's use 10 million or $100,000. So I'm using these figures just from the standpoint of calculation, just for ease of calculation. So if 10 million naira, so for those of us who are in Nigeria, if 10 million naira is the income target based on obligations and your aspirations, then what it simply means, therefore, is that how much sale will you need to produce, all right, that will fetch you that 10 million naira. And if $100,000 is your income target, how much sale, how much value are you going to give in exchange for that money, for that $100,000? So that's the way to think. And that is really, rather than been thinking of who will give me the money, who will I call, who will borrow me the money, start thinking of what are the problems that exist and how do I connect them to the solution to that problem. If you do that creatively and providing convenience to people who are accessing that opportunity, the reality is that you will lower, you know, it will increase your revenue significantly. And if you are providing that service to more people, it also continue to increase. So both in volume and in quality, you are going to be making a lot of money. So, so the first thing is, if you make a sale, how much money do you get? What do you derive every time you make a sale? So even if you own the business, right? What is how do you remunerate yourself? So in my own organization, for example, we get paid commissions. We pay commissions for everyone who makes sales. So if you sell a plot of land, or you sell a house, or you sell an apartment, there is a standard commission that exists, you know, in the organization. So for ease of calculation also, let's assume that 10%, right, is what you earn. Now, I mean, some of our products, people earn even way more than that. But let's assume it's 10% that you get. And in some products, it's also lower. All right. So what? Let's assume it's 10% just for ease of calculation. So if you earn 10% for every income you want to make, it simply means if you want to make 10 million naira, you need to sell 100 million naira worth of products, right? Or you need to exchange value worth 100 million naira to get 10 million naira, because 10% of 100 million will give you 10 million naira income. Please, if you heard me clearly and this makes sense and you understand what I'm saying, please just type yes. Just type yes, just to be sure that you heard me clearly and it is straightforward. Okay. Just type yes. Okay, great. So number two. So that's number one is how much income do you want to make? I've given you the framework. Number two is how much sale do you need to create or generate to fetch you that income? And if 10% is the commission income you get or professional fee on every sale or every value exchange or you put out there, then it means you get 10 million. And if it is $100,000, it means if $100,000 is your income target, that simply means you need to generate the target sale of $1 million. So you see what is fueling your sales is your income target, and your income target is tied to your obligations and your aspirations. So somebody else can set the same target, but because it's not tied to something, there is no consequence for achieving or not achieving it, you'll be better off. So when you are working night and day, people won't be able to understand how come this person is this consistent. You know, one of my mentees asked me years ago, said, "Sir, how do you develop discipline?" I said, it depends on what is pursuing you or what you are pursuing, right? So for some of us, we have developed the discipline to do whatever we need to do, even when we don't feel like doing it, right? It's my mom's 70th birthday today. All right, 70th birthday was Monday, but today is the celebration. I'm at the venue of the celebration, but I have the commitment to serve my generation. I took time off from there to do this. Now, I am saying that so that we all can understand that sometimes some of the excuses we give for not getting certain things is because you don't know what is pursuing you or you don't have what you are pursuing. For people like us, what is pursuing us and what we are pursuing is so intense, we cannot entertain excuse. Some of my colleagues sometimes will give me excuses and tell me because of this, I just because you know, sorry for that expression, but just to let you know that excuses are trademarks for failures. You are not yet a failure until you manufacture excuses. All right. So you want to develop the discipline to do what you need to do when you need to do it. Then you've got to be committed. You know, you have to you have to pay attention to the things that you are pursuing and the things that are pursuing you, or things you are chasing or the things that are chasing you. There are many things that I run concurrently, you know, and sometimes I just flown from one country to another country today, this week, and my body clock is yet to adjust. So the times that I'm supposed to sleep are not the time that I would ordinarily be sleeping. And so I'm still battling with that. But even in the midst of that, I'm handling so many things, right? I'm still handling so many things. So the reason for that level of commitment is because I'm clear as to what I'm chasing after, and I'm aware of what is chasing after me. There are things that can go wrong if I don't commit to the things I've already set my heart to do. And that's exactly the same way you have to design your life. You have to design, because you have to take this financial freedom thing as a personal project. If it must be, it's up to you, right? You have to take it as a personal project, right? Anybody can quote any quotable quote, but if you can't put food on the table, then you know how embarrassing that can be. And in this age and time where compromise is at the highest level, right, to lower the tendencies and the pressure to compromise, you just have to commit to something that will produce results. So when other people are sleeping, you'll be your eyes will be wide open, you know, working and laboring so hard, right? So while people are partying here and there and then, you know, gaming here and there, right? There's time for everything, but you see, too much of everything is bad. So you want to a large extent because of what is at stake. All right, so pay attention to all of these things. Number three is once you are clear on how much money you really want to make, we have used the figure 10 million naira. If you are based in Nigeria, $100,000, and all of these figures is based on annual income, right? Everything we're talking about in terms of this financial target is within a 12 calendar month. Please mind you, right? Because sometimes what often happens, and I need to say this, what often happens is that we overestimate what we can accomplish in 1 year and underestimate what we can accomplish in 5 years, right? There are things that I've set my heart to do, but I've given myself like 5 years to accomplish them, right? There are other things that I said, no, within 1 year, it must be sorted out. So I'm giving it all the energy, I'm pumping in all the resources, all my mental energy, intellectual energy, spiritual energy, physical energy, I'm pouring everything into it, right? So don't set a 5-year goal for a 1 year calendar, right? A 12-month calendar. And don't set 12-month calendar but again, just understand that balance. So whatever it is that we're talking about is for within, it's essentially for a 12-month calendar. I hope that is very clear, right? Please, if you heard me loud and clear and it is clear, everything I've communicated is clear to you, please just type 12, just to be sure that you heard me clearly and you understand exactly the process that got us here. Okay, good. All right, number 3. Once you are clear about the income you want to make and how much sale you need to make to generate that income, the next important question is, what will be the conveyor of that product? How many products do you need to exchange for that sale to happen and for you to make that income? In other words, we've said it time and again, products, people really don't buy your products. They buy what it can do for them, right? I saw a book by Tony Robbins, and it was an ad on social media, and it says, "This book will change your life." That's the title of the book. This book will change your life. All right. And the thing, there's practically no way I've not seen that ad again and again. Each time I just decide to go on social media to just go see what's going on. Right. And I figured that, this man is selling something that will change people's lives. So people are not buying the book, they are buying the fact that it will change their lives. All right. So sometimes people buy something because it's going to alleviate pain. Right. And sometimes people buy things because it's going to bring in a lot of progress for their lives. So who does not want to make more money? So if I write how to make a lot of money doing less work, working from home, and I can put that together, it will gain a lot of attention. So people really don't buy books. They don't buy your product. They buy what it will do for them. And it's important that you establish what benefits your product will do. So essentially, how many products do you now need to sell? If you sell books, how many books do you need to sell to generate the sale that will fetch you that income? And if you are into real estate like I am, how many houses do you need to sell to generate the sale that will fetch you that income, right? If you are into auto dealership, how many cars do you need to sell to generate the sale that will fetch you that income, all right? So this is exactly how you need to go about looking at the business, okay? So this is so important. So how many products? So assuming, going back to our templates, assuming $100,000 is the income that you've set for yourself within a year, right? And you've concluded that every sale you make, you generate 10%. It means that $1 million must be the total volume or total sale value, right? Then what that does for you ultimately is how many products do you need to sell? So depending on the terrain where you are, so how many landed properties, if you are into real estate, how many houses do you need to sell, right? Or if you're into auto dealership, how many cars? And what will be the value of each of those cars, the unit price? You can look at an average price and use that to set your target, because all the products will not have exactly the same price points. Okay, so you want to define how many products in the light of the average cost per unit, and then use that to do your projections. And then you put effort in that direction. So that's pretty much the way this thing goes. All right. So if each product, if let's use houses, if each house or apartment is selling for $100,000, means you need to sell 10 units, 10 units of that to get $1 million sale. That will give you $100,000 income if 10% is your commission income. All right. So step one, how much money do you want to make? You set it within using the framework of your aspirations and your obligations, and then how much sale will give you or will fetch you that income, and then based on the commission rates you will get, and then how many products will you need to sell that will fetch you that income ultimately. So once that is settled, the fourth step, which is the final step in this entire process, right? If you want to achieve your financial target, always look at it in this light. I have used it again and again, and those who have followed this same template, they don't fail, right? Even if you don't achieve the target, you'll be closer to it and you will know why it did not work, all right? You'll be able to go make one or two other adjustments here and there, all right? Now, the first step, as important as it is, the first to third step, the step one to three, as important as they appear, will not produce results if they don't get step 4 right. So let me have your attention. If I have your attention, please type attention. Type attention. If I have your full attention right now, please type attention, just to be sure that I have your attention. Excellent. Good. Now, the fourth step in that process is, who is holding my money? Who is in need of what I am selling? Who needs what I am selling? Who needs my products? Who needs what I am selling? Where can they be found? Where do they congregate? Now, this speaks more for those of us who understand a bit of marketing. This speaks a lot to your customer avatar, right? Your dream customer. Let me say this. And I think this will be very beneficial to anyone who is in this room and is in business. Listen carefully. Not everybody qualifies as your customer. If you attract the wrong customer, it will frustrate your business. Sometimes, out of desperation, we just call all Tom, Dick, and Harry into our business, but not everybody qualifies for your product or qualify as your customer. So when we're talking about who need what you are selling, we're simply talking about who is your dream customer. Your dream customer will pay the value, will pay the price for what you are offering, and they will pay the price to get the quality of experience that your product promised to offer. But if you do otherwise, not only will they price you low, or if they price you low and you still sell to them, not only will they frustrate you because you will not be able to deliver the experience at that cost. You will not be able to deliver the quality of experience at that cost. You know, I was sharing with a friend recently, and I said, a lot of people complain about bad roads in Nigeria, this and that, and all of those things. I laugh. And the reason why I often say these things is because, I've traveled to quite a few places around the world, and a case in point is the United States of America. I've driven across several states, to another place. I've driven 12 hours. I've driven 4 hours, in the United States, and good roads. Yes, some of the roads could even be under reconstruction or rehabilitation. And each time that is happening, there are alternative routes. They make arrangements so that there's no traffic congestions here and there. So there's proper planning, and sometimes they even do some of this work overnight. So to just reduce, but it doesn't mean that they don't provide for that. However, the cost of making that happen, who pays for it? Taxpayers. The heavy duty taxes that are levied to business owners, career people, salary earners, in the United States of America is unimaginable. In fact, it's even more for salary earners. Business people, smart ones amongst them, they know how to, avoid tax paying or avoid paying exorbitant taxes. All right. But for salary earners, your taxes are deducted from source. You pay almost 40% as taxes. Now, those are the funds they use in providing that quality of amenities that people enjoy and why the place seems so desirable. Now, the reverse is the case in Nigeria and several African countries, right? Yes, we can accuse many of the government officials of corruptions and a host of other things, but the fact remains that it is not the same level of tax. It's not the same tax percentage that they generate. Now, what is my real point? My real point is to deliver quality experience is part of the resolutions I personally have made. That if I really want to serve my clients to the maximum, should I be doing it the way I've been doing it? So invariably, I can conclude that all the people that I consider to be my clients today or our business customers today are not essentially my dream customers. Now, I say that out of respect for everyone. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm just saying this so that I can drive home the point. This is an exclusive, it's supposed to be an exclusive meeting, but I'm sharing this from the depth of my heart. So we understand exactly how to position ourselves. Listen, every ad you put out there is supposed to do two things. Number one, is supposed to attract your dream customer and supposed to repel those who are not. I will repeat that again just in case you did not get it. Every marketing effort is supposed to attract your ideal customer or dream customer and supposed to repel those who are not. So everybody is not for you. I recall, this even had to do with, Christian church ministry. And I remember my pastor was sharing this with us a while back. And he was talking about a mega church pastor. How that they used to, move together. Say, but those days, the guy would say, no, these are not the people I'm sent to. These are not the people I'm called to. You need to be very, very clear on who you are sent to. Now, anybody who has heard me teach and give a lecture on this particular topic will never have heard me share anything like this. And the reason because I've been going through a process myself, right? Who are you called to? Who are you sent to? My mentor will say, to those you are sent, you are a miracle worker. To those you are not sent, you are a noisemaker. So it's important. I recall, this should be 2019. I signed up for an executive coaching with one of the foremost consulting firms in Nigeria. And when I was having my, sessions, the coaching session was 2 hours every 2 weeks, right? And was supposed to last for 6 months. 2 hours every 6 weeks. Every 2 weeks, sorry. And then it was supposed to last for 6 months. I won't tell you how much I had to pay, right? Because sometimes I'm also doing the consulting today, and I provide classic, and because I'm also hands-on when it comes to business, I'm not just giving theoretical concepts, I'm giving practical concepts. But I see that people feel that, oh, I'm charging too much, or I'm demanding too much. And I'm thinking to myself, do you need to lose money before you learn this? All right. Anyways, and I remembered during my coaching session, there were a lot of recommendations that we needed to implement. And I felt that, oh, we will need their competencies to help us with the implementation. Guess what my executive coach said? I will never forget that statement. It still came to my mind today while I was studying. I was researching something, and she said that we cannot afford them. She would rather recommend another firm to us. Now, I did not understand it when she said it. I felt it was arrogance, and I'm being honest here. But looking back, of course, at some point in the course of our business, we engaged that firm because we could now afford them. Now, I now understood why she said we couldn't afford them. right? The caliber of clients they deal with and the kind of charges or how much they charge those clients gave me insight into why she said we cannot afford them. And those are the people that can pay for the kind of experience that they deserve. I have another, very dear friend. We've done quite a few projects together. And the first time I ever encountered him and we had to pay him some money to get some things done, he told me, I only serve premium clients. And he told me categorically, he said he cannot serve them at the highest level and provide them the highest level of value if he has to have many of them. So he decides to make sure that his price point covers for any cost, both foreseeable and unforeseeable costs. And so that way, he only has few people that he will give the best of service to. And looking back, I can tell he is very clear as to who need what he is selling. So there's nothing like you go before him and then you'll be negotiating or be bargaining. There's nothing like that. There's nothing like that, right? And with my executive coach then, nothing like you are negotiating. There's nothing like bargain, all right? Now, I've also come to realize this. Now, this is top level information I'm sharing here. I've come to realize that when you engage in price wars and not in differentiations, you are going in the direction of cost leadership. For those of you who did MBAs, I'm sure you'll be familiar with some of these concepts. These are, this speaks to these are strategic concepts, right? And so rather than go head to head, there are people who have more deep pockets than you are. If you are going using discounts and all of those, we do that a lot in our company in Nigeria. But I'm beginning to realize, and I'm saying this openly so that those who care to listen and would adopt it, listen, even if your intention is to serve the poor, it is better to raise your price. Make sure you do premium. I have come to that conclusion. Especially if you play in an industry where everybody is head to head, it's a commoditized industry where what you are selling, anybody else can find out what other person is selling. What you just need to do is to ensure that you raise the value of what you are offering, that you can't compare that product with any other product. All right. So that's essentially, and time will not permit me to go into the science and the details around product, but essentially, who need what you are selling? Everybody cannot be your customer and must not be your customer. So you have to define who your ideal customer is. If it's a male, give it a name. What is his demography? What is his age range? What is his income range? Where do they congregate? Where do they worship? Where do they live? Where do their children school? And a host of other things you need to categorize. And let me quickly give you a hint, and this will help a great deal. So we live in the times of artificial intelligence. So if you are not so clear as to how to profile who your ideal customers are, I give you this assignment. Just put the price point of your product and put it in ChatGPT and type it there. Give me the customer persona, the buyer persona for this income, for this particular product that sells for X amount. And give me the buyer, just give me the buyer persona. It will give you a lot of information, right? You can give ChatGPT, the AI, you can give it that instruction and it can fetch you many of these other details and laser focus on that. Now, guess what? If you have a variety of products or services, it's also important that you define who your ideal customer is for each of those products. All right. So, because if you put them all in one bucket, you will not attract, your marketing will be faulty. So it is better that you put them in different blocks. So approach each product like a separate company. All right. I want to believe that this is making sense to those of us who are hearing me. If this is adding value and it's making sense, please just let me know. I want to believe that I'm not blabbing. I'm not just speaking to myself. I want to believe that this is adding some degree of value. All right. So you want to refine. So you have been, listen. I love action movies a lot. I hate all this soap opera where they falling in love, there's betrayal. I'm not into those kind of things. I love movies where they are killing people, dagger, and all. I love suspense like that. I love action movies, right? But I've come to find out that those who use machine guns sometimes miss their objects and they waste a lot of bullets. But those who are snipers, they are laser focused on their targets. They know their needs, they know the pain points of their target audience, and they go for them. Right? They do every research they conduct, everything they do is because of that person. Every activity around the organization is basically because of that. So who need what you are selling? This is the question of people. The first one is a question of income. The second one is a question of sales or value. The third one is a question of product. How many products? And then the fourth one, which is the most important in my opinion, because if you get everything right and get this one wrong, you've missed out in the business. You still not achieve your financial target. And it's a question of people who need what you are selling. Where can they be found? Where do they congregate? All right. Where do they congregate? So what are their preferences? Because that will also inform your offers, right? That will inform the kind of offers, the kind of dates you put out there in the market to hook them, all right, to pull them. What are the kind of lead magnets? And listen, you need a long list of people like that. And so all your campaigns, maybe some other time I'm going to share on this. And I'm really, really looking at something that I'm going to do that will be for an inner circle. I just want to work with 20 people for 2024. There are many discoveries I have made this year. Last year, I read over 100 books, and I read in diverse fields, in different areas, and I gathered a lot of information. But as the year was winding down last year, I decided that much of my studies and research was going to be around a particular field, which I'm not going to be talking about here. But I have garnered so much information that it preoccupies my mind. Every time I'm thinking, I'm always seeing things, and I've invested heavily, both time and money, in many of the research. And I truly love to share what I know. I really want to help other businesses, to also succeed, and those who want to go into business. Let me tell you something. You do not have a business if your buying population is very low. You don't have a business. In fact, that is it's not a business worth pursuing if there is no sizable number of people that can buy that product and that fit into your dream customer. All right? And this is so important. So who need what you are selling? The second corollary to that is, who are the people who know the people that need what you are selling? Now, whoever it is that need what you are selling is currently being served by someone, is currently buying from somewhere. If you have an idea who are those categories of people, it can help you to form or establish alliances. And this is so important. It's one of the most effective ways of really, building up your business and then growing your customer base, particularly the dream customer. So I want to believe that this has been helpful. If you know the people who need what you are selling, and you know the people that need what you are selling, then it's double-edged sword. You will always win. All right. The guy that is selling like a Sarah in Nigeria often form alliance with the guy that is selling gala, sausage roll, as the case may be. So they're always working on each other's tail. They recognize that whoever buys gala or sausage roll will need a drink to wash it down. And so they are always on each other's trail. They complement each other. So you also need to that should be part of your research. So if you are in business, I want you to take time to think deeply. If you have a team, sit down with your team and reanalyze who your ideal customers are, and then begin to reconstruct your offerings based on the discoveries and the research you have conducted. If you do this, you will not only achieve your targets, you will surpass them. Excellent, absolutely. Just like bread and beans. Yes, excellent. That's exactly the same thing. All right. So I strongly want to recommend that if you follow this pattern, you follow this template, you will always achieve your sales target and you will surpass them even. And then we will all share in the joy. Thank you very much, everyone, for paying attention. I want to believe this has been helpful. So if you have any questions, it's time to take questions. It's time to take questions before I end this meeting. I have another one in another 1 hour time. Do we have questions? Questions? Do you have questions? All right, so in the absence of any questions, let's not forget, we continue again next week. Next week, Saturday. Wealth Unleashed webinar takes place 5 p.m. On Saturdays by 5 p.m. West African time. That's 12 noon EST, and that should be 11 a.m. CST, depending on where you are. And I'm sure that very soon now, the whole world clock will soon change. It will soon change again. So, but pending that time, for now, it is just 5 p.m. West African time and 12 noon EST. Wednesdays, I hold what we call the Bible Sense for Living on Instagram. And it was something that I was just inspired to do. And I've been doing that now for about 8 weeks. This is going to be the 9th week that we're entering. So I want to recommend you make time out to be there. I've been examining how to develop your life plan. And if you missed out on previous editions, I want to recommend that you go and watch the replays on my YouTube channel. If you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel, you will missing out a lot. So I would recommend you do that, and then you turn on the notification button. This Tuesday will be the last edition of Winning in Business series. We've had a very explosive time. Last week, Tuesday, was something off the hook. And this Tuesday is going to be the final lap. Now, listen to me carefully. Listen to me carefully. If you are in business and you want to make a lot of money, particularly you want to make a lot of money on autopilot, it does not matter the industry in which you play, please, I beg you, don't miss this coming Tuesday. It's going to be 8 p.m. West African time, 3 p.m. EST. I beg you, if you're a consultant, you're a coach, and guess what? Even if you're a ministry person, you're a clergyman or woman, right? Whatever industry you are into, auto dealership, whatever industry in which you play, once you are doing a turnover of $1 million and above, and if you really want to know how to get those things done, then don't miss, all right, this particular edition of Winning in Business series. It's been an exciting journey so far, and I wouldn't want you to miss. So it's going to be the last one in the series, and it's going to be the last one for the year. Now, note this. The replays are not going to be made available. That's why I'm saying all of this. They are not going to be made available. They're only going to be available for those in another, it's a complete program and package for some other categories of people. So the best way to maximize what we're going to be sharing is for you to participate fully, and then you also have opportunity to ask questions and all of that. Now, in 2024, January specifically, the first week in January, I'm hosting the Financial Freedom Challenge. So if you would love to work with me, and I'm going to be working with a few other people from that program throughout 2024. I've learned a lot, and I've learned a lot from my failures and the failures of others. And I just do not want people, I don't want to see people repeat history of mistakes, you know. People repeat history because they don't learn from history. So that's the reason why I'm committed to this assignment and the way I do it. I run a lot. There are some that many people are not even aware of, right? So I do quite a lot of things that people are not aware of. But what is fueling this level of commitment, because I have a sense of mission and I have a sense of urgency. We are not going to be here forever. And while we still have our breath, let us make the best of contribution. Let's make the most of our time in the lives of others. Because ultimately, it's not for the cars. You will not be remembered for the cars. You will not be remembered for the houses. but for the impact you make in other people's lives. So please don't miss out on Tuesday, 8 p.m. West African time. I think that should be the same time for UK. And 3 p.m. EST. So it's going to be for 1 hour. And there's a lot of opportunities. You want to put your income on autopilot, then that program is for you. Don't miss it for anything. And please, I want to appeal. Do me this favor. If you have anybody who is in real estate, who is in construction, who is in consulting, coaching, and once you are doing $1 million and above, right? I think that you will need the value that program has. And even if you don't, and you're aspiring that one day your business will also be worth $1 million. I hope you know that if $1 million, for those of you who run business in Nigeria, right, it means you need to be doing business turnover well over 1 billion. That's what it simply means. So I want to recommend, don't miss it for anything. Anyone you know within the community, please, within your circle of influence, advise them to be part of that program. It probably would be the best gift you have given to them. I know why I'm saying that. Don't miss it for any reason, and tell those who you genuinely care about not to miss it. Because if they miss it, there's no replay. And I will not say more than that. All right, so till we meet again, please always remember, quitters never win and winners never quit. So stay inspired till you succeed. So bye for now. Thank you. Oh, someone is asking, how do I partner with someone that is coming in with the funding and connection or influence on an idea that I'm bringing to the person? What should I do? This is a consulting question. It's not a counseling question. Mr. Duru. So reach out to my EA and then we'll charge you, because there's a way to go about it. And I can give you the answers, but I'm also very mindful of the details you need. Is not something I can provide on the platform here. This is a free platform. It's not a charge. It's not a paid platform. All right. And if you are still confused about that, you can therefore just register for the Financial Freedom Challenge in January. So send the word challenge to 0708797041. We will be sending out applications. So the registration for that program, the reason why we're saying you should send this is because it's by application. We're not admitting everybody, it's by application. All right, so please send the word challenge to whoever, to that number 0708797041. If you do so, then you'll be glad you did. So I want to recommend that. So I think you are saying something here. Yes, I know. That's why I'm also doing this. What I'm doing here now is part of the value I'm adding to Tribe of Wealthy Origin, right? So there's basic, there is classic. If you are in classic, this is also part of your benefit, right? So when we do group coaching, I do group coaching periodically, maybe once or twice a year, right? But this particular question you have asked, I have your answer, and I know what I'm talking about. I have the answer for you that will give you breakthrough. So just connect with my executive assistant on that same number. If you're outside Nigeria, please add +234 to that number, 0708797041. So what's the place of marketing in all these areas? Looking forward to Tuesday. The place of marketing, I didn't quite get that question. Can you please, you can even unmute your mic, since you are fewer in this hall. Unmute your mic, let me.
Okay, sir. Good evening, sir. Thank you very much for this section, sir. I'm very grateful. So, you've spoken a lot about the things we need to put in place and knowing the figures we want to achieve and breaking it down to how many units of product we need to sell. So, in order to achieve this, we need a very strong marketing strategies to be in place. So, word of mouth will not sell $1 billion, I believe. So, the word of mouth actually has its own limit. So, what kind of marketing strategies can we put in place in order to achieve all of this?
Okay, fantastic question. That's exactly what we're going to be dealing with on Tuesday. So, if your question is not,
I thought as much.
On Tuesday,
I thought as much. Thank you, sir.
Yes. All right. So, thank you very much, everyone. And then I'm signing out. We'll see you again next week, Saturday, next week, Tuesday, next week, Wednesday, next week, Saturday.